Check, 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 check. Yeah. These lights so bright. How's that better? Good to go? I'm gonna start, okay? Hello? Come quick, come quick, come quick. Hmm? You'll then have to go silent, boy. Hi, everyone. Let me get out of the way. So my name is Troy. I know some of y'all I know, some of y'all I don't. And we're gonna start like this today. Put your feet on the floor for me a second. And just sit up nice and tall and close your eyes. Hands on your laps. And close your eyes. We may have people strolling in, but I don't want to get you all out of here too late. So I'm going to start regardless, right? So just close your eyes, sit up tall. You're in a safe space. Just see if you can look at your breath for a moment. And if you don't feel comfortable closing your eyes, don't. Leave your eyes open. That's fine too. And just come to the bottom of your exhale. And I want to invite you to bring your hands to your heart and your thumbs to your chest. Some of you might call it prayer. In yoga, we call it Anjali Mudra. And I want to invite you, whatever this word spirit or God means to you, whatever that looks like, just to connect to your understanding of God. And together we ask that our time together be blessed, and that the resonance and vibration and whatever we take from this can assist us in living our lives with more intention. So we can show up every day from a place of more love, more compassion, more understanding. We ask that we can take from it what we need, not necessarily what we want. Together we inhale. And we offer up our prayers, our intentions with our next exhale. Gently open your eyes, release your hands. Evening. So just a little bit about how this all happened, right? Is when we were reopening our studio, which only opened 6 weeks ago, almost everyone I met had something to say about anxiety, what they were experiencing. And we began to realize how much people needed this space, whether it be yoga practice or whatever it is. And I would have loved to do a workshop just on breath, but I just thought I had to introduce anxiety. So we had this idea, and we now have a corporate social responsibility program, which I want to mention our sponsors, Homeland Furnishings downstairs, and you all get 10% off if you grab your coupon. So a little plug for them. But what this program is aiming to do is make yoga practice more accessible and meditation to people of low income communities and people who might not be able to afford to do yoga. So eventually, we would love for this studio and this community to be a by donation yoga studio and meditation studio. And Homeland Furnishings is the first organization to come on board. So I just want to acknowledge them because I do think it is important for us as corporations to assist and support the initiatives we believe in. That's how I like to begin everything, right? Love, if you know me at all. But some of you don't know me. So I just want to talk a little bit about who I am and why I'm here, right? For the last 15 years, I have dedicated my life to the practice and study of yoga and meditation. I feel even long before that, I've been trying to excavate the human experience. What is this all about? What does it mean, right? And so I do feel comfortable standing up here to talk to you about anxiety and especially about breath. The perspectives I may deliver may be different to what you're accustomed to. All I hope to do is to plant seeds, to offer perspectives that might shift for you guys, maybe shift something that you experience on a daily basis. I experience anxiety every day, right? I experience anxiety. I know some of you guys might have saw our little skit, but it was real. I had anxiety about this anxiety workshop. Because up until Monday, there were 4 people signed up. So I was like, yeah, I just can walk in like a normal class, a normal workshop and rock it. Then Monday evening, there were 44 people signed up. So the game changed really quickly. And I do not suffer generally from crippling anxiety. I know some of you might. So I'm not taking that experience away from you. The anxiety I experience on a daily basis, or most people, is not crippling anxiety, but it does exist. I do know it well, though. This crippling anxiety where you can't move and you're overcome by it. I know it well, and I have had experiences with it. And I want to tell you, some of you guys know these stories already, but I'll talk about them briefly anyway. So in my early 20s, I decided I was going to do what you call a Vipassana retreat. I was going to sit in silence for 10 days. And it's not odd for someone to do that. A few, people generally do it. It is something people do, and I recommend it to everyone. I thought this is what my experience would be like. Yeah. It actually looked a lot more like that. And the first 5 days of that experience, I could only describe as agonizing. I felt things in my body and my mind I did not think possible. I felt like I was being tortured. And all that was happening in my mind sounded like this. Your girlfriend's cheating on you. Your friends are surfing, partying, liming, having a good time while you sit on a cushion and waste your life away. Your grandmother's going to die. There's going to be a war, and you're not going to be able to get back home. And my mind went on and on and on and on. And my experience for those first 5 days, all I wanted to do was run out that place. I thought I had made a massive mistake. And then about halfway through, there's a guide and he talks. So just to put this in perspective, no books, no writing, no music, no journaling, no devices. All you do for 10 days is sit on a cushion like this, get up, go to sleep, get up, eat, get up, walk in the forest for 2 hours, come back, sit for 10 days, right? And about halfway through, a guide said something. And he said something that brought me to look, rather than trying to shut my mind up and push all these feelings and thoughts and anxiety away. He brought me to look at them. I confronted them. I actually embraced them. And when I did that, I could recognize that they were all, you could come in and sit, whoever's in his side, yeah. They were all driven by fear. All of them. All of these thoughts that were plaguing me were driven by fear. As long as I saw them and I understood them, they no longer had power over me. I now had a relationship to them. I'm not going to tell you they never came back. But when they came back, I didn't try to shut them up and push them away. I saw them, I felt them, I knew they were coming from a place of fear. I knew it was all made up. I was making it up. And once I had that relationship to those thoughts, to that fear, the second half of my experience was as harmonious as sitting on a cushion could possibly be. That experience was extremely powerful. I honestly, up to this day, think every human being should attempt it. But I said I would never do it again. And then last year, September, I stepped into this room, which some of you may have heard about. In this room, there's a bed, there's a toilet, there's a shower, there's a stool, there's a light-proof window, and I was going to spend 10 days in that room, right? Now, the thing is, that room was going to look like this for 10 days, and now it still looks white, but it's supposed to be absolutely black, because that experience was in a complete absence of light. So much so, like, there's nothing for your eyes to adjust to, right? There's no adjusting. You can't see your hand in front of your face. And my intention was to stay in that room for 10 days. And I left on day 3, and that could be another 4-hour discussion or workshop. But I felt, and I know for a fact, I got everything I needed to get in that room. But those 3 days made my 10 days of silence look like an all-inclusive vacation. I faced a fear of death. And by faced, I mean I thought I was going to die. I thought I'd volunteered to be kidnapped. I'd given up my phone and my laptop, all my devices, and walked into this room with this absolute stranger in a retreat center in Mexico that was under construction. The retreat center was closed. I was the only one in it other than the owner. And every day was jackhammers and ponging and banging and men screaming. And I was just in a room in absolute darkness. No part of that experience for me was safe. I believe God pulled me out of that room. Again, another workshop. And what I gained from that room, another 4-hour workshop. But what I experienced in that room was real. It was real. I honestly felt like I would not get out of that room ever again. And you know what? One of the hardest things was for me, not dying. I'm okay with death. I can't wait to meet whoever God is. But what was hardest for me was that I didn't get to say goodbye. It felt that I didn't get to say goodbye to people I loved. So anxiety, I know. And crippling anxiety, I know. Everything I experienced in that room was real. Everything. And your anxiety is real. And don't let anybody tell you differently. And if you're here because maybe you don't have anxiety, but you know somebody that does, don't ever tell them their anxiety is not real or get over it, snap out of it. Doesn't work like that, right? You guys, most of you know that already. It will probably never go away. It will not ever go away. But you can create a relationship to it. You can cultivate a relationship to your anxiety and to your mind. It's not an enemy. It can be your best friend. So let's understand anxiety, right? A few things you guys might, again, know already, but humor me. Anxiety is normal. Nothing is wrong with you or anyone that experiences anxiety. It is a normal human response to stress. And it feels like excessive fear and worry, again, brought on by stress. You imagine things that aren't real, and whatever you experience is real, and your worry overcomes you, right? It can impair your ability to function in every possible way. In that dark room, I did not want to get out of my bed. I did not want to live. And if you know me, I rush to my yoga mat every day, 90 minutes, every day. I had to almost drag myself to my yoga mat in that dark room. Practicing in darkness is a trip in itself, by the way. And anxiety results in physical symptoms. And I'm saying this for those of us who might not know or understand anxiety. It almost manifests as physical illness, or at least it can, right? Now get this one. It can also be useful. Anxiety isn't all bad. Anxiety, stress, fear even. This is our body's normal response that tell us, yo, something's up. Something in your life is out of alignment. Something needs to change. Or maybe it's trying to prepare us for an event that's happening. My anxiety was telling me, get your head out your ass. You have 50 people coming in this room. You can't just wing this, right? My anxiety was getting me prepared. And a lot of the time, anxiety is trying to prepare us for something or show us something. And if we keep trying to shut it up, without trying to understand it, we'll never get it, which is why it now has to scream louder and louder and louder to get our attention. So what causes anxiety, right? Stress in general. Now you have different kinds of stress. But stress, again, is a natural response to any demand, uncertainty, or threat that the body perceives. I underline perceives because that you may not actually be threatened. There may not be any threat. But because you perceive a threat, or because you imagine that something's going to go wrong, that becomes your reality. So just to draw a comparison, nothing I thought of experience in my silent experience or that dark room was actually happening. But to me, it was. It was very real. I was perceiving that. My mind had created that. So for me, in that instance, that experience was real. Now get this. Our mind does that every day, all day, on a regular basis. It doesn't have to be that big of an experience. Our mind is constantly projecting. Now, here are different forms of stress, right? Generational stress or trauma. And I just want to stop there for a moment because I feel like that's a term we always talk about, generational stress, generational trauma. It is real. Generations pass on their stress and their trauma to generation that comes after. But if that is real, the healing of it is also real. Which means that if you have the courage to face and understand this trauma and this stress, you can heal it for the next generation. The healing is also passed on. Then you have environmental stress. Is it cold? Is it hot? You have physical stress. Are you sick? Is your body in pain? That's physical stress. You have emotional stress, which I think we all know about. And then you have perceived and imagined stress, right? Stress that isn't real, but to you it's real. You create it. So where does stress come from? External factors, yeah? All the external factors create stress, yes? Not all the time. Gabor Mate, who's, in my opinion, probably the utmost authority on trauma and ADHD and addiction, he says that trauma is not what happens to you. It's the meaning we give to it. Meaning, Jade could hit me and I might all of a sudden create this narrative that I'm not good enough, that Jade doesn't like me, where Jade might hit you and it might be a playful act. So regardless of what happens to us, that's one thing. But where stress and trauma really happens is the meaning we give to it. It's a narrative we allow that to create for ourselves and our lives. And trauma and stress are related, which is why I use trauma and stress almost interchangeably, right? At least to me. Now, so in other words, it happens up here. Stress and trauma happens up here. It's how you perceive external factors. So let's look at the mind, because the mind is where it all begins, right? So the mind is the home of a lot of things. And I think we talk about the power of the mind, but I don't think we actually connect these dots. Come on in, guys. You can sit in front here. I don't think we always connect these dots, right? Understand how powerful the mind is. Your sense of identity and everything you think you are is in your mind. All of your conditioning, everything you actually are, all our upbringing, our experiences from children, from circles, the narrative society tells us, all of this is conditioning. And not all of it is good conditioning. We all have bad conditioning. But in order to recondition, the good news is we can recondition and reprogram our bad conditioning. But you have to go ahead to do that. You can't avoid your mind and expect to reprogram your negative conditioning. We have to go into your mind. All of your perspectives and projections of the world and the people around you are all in your mind. All of them. Your emotions, your reality of the world has nothing really to do with the world around you. Maybe some, but it has everything to do with how you view it and how you perceive it. Because we could walk into the same experience or the same room or the same situations and perceive them very differently. The mind is so powerful, right? All your fears, stress, and anxiety, they live in your mind, all of them. And if you're not willing, if you keep trying to shut your mind up, shut your anxiety out, you're never going to understand them. You have to create a relationship to fear, stress, and anxiety. Where is it coming from? Why do you feel that way? What are you afraid of? So let's meet your mind for a moment in case you haven't, right? This is actually possible. I know some of you guys feel like you're always fighting with your mind. I just love that graphic. Anyway, the mind is king of everything. Some of you have heard me say this before, right? It's a teaching by B.K.S. Iyengar. Mind is king of everything. Your mind dictates your reality in every way possible. Now, let me explain and use these two examples. If you came in here or somebody dragged you in here and you already had this narrative that I had nothing to offer you, that I was some yogi guy, space cadet or whatever, then you're still sitting there trying to disregard everything I have to say. You're trying to find ways in which I am not making sense. That's your reality you've created. If you create a narrative that someone is bad, you're going to find every way to prove your narrative. We do it all the time. That's how powerful the mind is, right? If I told you this wall was red, you would tell me I'm crazy. But suppose I believe that was the color red. You can't prove to me otherwise unless I choose to believe it. Understand how powerful the mind is. Now, the thing about the mind is it's like an eternal marriage. Not today's marriage. There's no separation. There's no divorce. It's you and your mind forever. Your mind is your ride or die, meaning that you cannot escape it. There's one way out. And you know what that way is. There's one way out. Other than that, you cannot escape it. You could numb, you could dismiss, you could go into avoidance, but when that is done, it's still there waiting, and it's probably going to be pissed off. You can't shut your mind up. You won't. This is a marriage. It's an eternal marriage. Imagine if your spouse tried to get you to shut up, told you to shut up one day. Probably won't go well. Your mind has an intelligence of its own. It is like a partner, like a lover. It wants to be heard, right? Intimacy with your mind is possible. But it's like any other relationship. How do you create intimacy? You create intimacy through quality time, through listening, through trying to understand someone. Because if you don't create that, your relationship is going to be fighting constantly, going to be full of neglect and all these power trips and power games. And your mind does that with you, by the way. I don't know if you've noticed. But the quickest way to create intimacy with your mind is things like what you might call meditation. And I'm not here to sell you anything like meditation or yoga, right? But when I say meditation, what I'm leaning to is just spending time with yourself and your mind. Without the phone, without Netflix, without a journal, maybe journal after, but just sit with your mind. Set the timer for 5-10 minutes. Sit with your mind. All the thoughts that come up, the anxiety that comes up that is driving you mad and just making you want to get up from that cushion. Think of 10 days when you sit for 10 minutes. You're going to be okay, dude. Just look at it. Look at it. The thoughts that keep coming back, acknowledge them and try to understand why, where you coming from, right? Because this creates a relationship with the mind. It's like a little child. If you neglect a little child, they're going to scream and shout to get your attention. The more attention you give it, the less it has to scream and shout. Maybe next time it wants to tell you something, it just whispers. Doesn't have to shout. Reflection and introspection. This to me is really important because a lot of the time when something comes up in our lives, we go to friends. We go to other people. We want to know what everyone else thinks about it. And those are valid opinions. Those are important. But you have to then take all of that insight and then take it inside. How does that feel to you? Because no one else knows how you feel. Only you do. And a lot of the time, what we tell people we feel, let's get real, it's not really how we feel. Most of the time, we can't tell people how we really feel. Only you know how you feel. So take all the insight, go to friends, get their opinion, sure, but then take it inside. You must go into your own introspection and reflection to understand what is happening. Listening and feeling, right? So again, listen, intimacy. Feeling is important because I want you to note, there is a difference between thinking and feeling. There's a difference between when a mind says, I use this in the practice room all the time. When your mind says, Troy has you in this posture too long, come out, he's ridiculous. That's your mind. As opposed to when you actually feel that, I need to come out the pose. Come out the pose. But don't think about coming out the pose. Feel it. And we live in a society where everything is thinking driven. What will people think? What will people say? What am I supposed to do? All of these narratives that we are forced to fit into. Feel. There's a voice inside of you that is very different from a thinking mind. Feel it. And ask these questions. It should be in yellow, by the way. These two questions at the bottom. What do I need? What do I want? Forget everyone else. Not forget them, but when you're asking this question, acknowledge this first. What do I need and what do I want? Then you can choose to compromise for people around you because you love them. Yes, but first you must acknowledge, what do I need? What serves me? So then you know how much of it you're willing to compromise. And this is one of the biggest questions you can ask. What am I afraid of? And why am I so afraid? And let me draw a reference, right? You're in a relationship. Somebody breaks your heart. So you're heartbroken and you're on the floor and you're screaming how much you love this person and how much you want them back. But in reality, you're just afraid of being alone. That happens all the time. We aren't willing to face what we're really afraid of. That was just an example I thought we could all relate to, but it happens everywhere in our lives. Be honest with yourself. What are you afraid of? That could be my phone, maybe. No? Okay, good, super. I won't call you out, Cyan. Fear, anxiety, and stress, right? So here are some perspectives to consider. Your anxiety and your mind is trying to protect you. It's a survival mechanism. It's trying to protect you from harm's way. It's trying to keep you in that safe zone, in that comfortable zone. It has something for you to pay attention to. So don't just block it out, because a lot of the time it's a sign that something in your life needs to change. It could be a sign that you need to prepare for something coming up. Could be a sign of a lot of things. But don't just shut it out, because a lot of the time it's trying to tell you something. This is one of my favorite things to talk about if you know me at all, right? All fear, anxiety, and stress revolves around the identity crisis, I call it, revolves around our identity and our need for safety. This I could talk about for hours, so I'm going to try to make it really quick. My name is Troy. I was born into a body. I have been told from the day I'm born that this is my body and this is my name and this is who I am. We say things like, I am Troy. I am a yoga teacher. These are aspects of identity. As we grow up into adulthood, our identity starts to expand to our friends and family, our kids, our careers, our opinions. Imagine that a year ago, 2 years ago, we were saying things like, I am pro-vax, like as if that defined you, as if that could never change, right? Now, here's a perspective. I could go wild on this, so I'm trying not to do that. That is not a narrative I buy into. You cannot convince me that I am my body and my name is Troy. That's just what I'm living at this moment, right? Sounds far out. But get this, if I am my body and my name is Troy, then that means that when I leave my body, I will cease to exist. And I don't believe that to be true. Somebody just sent me a quote today from Einstein, right? From Roots Yard, if you got that message. Energy cannot be created nor destroyed. Every interaction we have changes somebody. All of you that walked into this room, you cannot, it is impossible for you to leave this room the same person you walked in. Because whatever we share, not just me with you, whatever you share with one another, you change one another. Every conversation you have or interaction you have from here on is not the same. You live in everyone else's experience of life. When I leave my body, I will not cease to exist because I know what I have contributed to this world will live and impact the consciousness of humanity. And I am not special because you do the same thing every day, every interaction. And I say this because it's important for us to begin to extend our sense of identity. Because the entire narrative we're told from the day we're born is that this is who we are. This is who we are. If this is who I am, that subtle programming is that when I leave my body, I will cease to exist. And here's what that leads to. I end up doing everything I possibly can to keep this safe. Safety is my absolute priority. Even if it may threaten someone else, safety is my priority. There may be times when we could step out of that box, but that becomes our unconscious programming when we are attached to this physical form. I'm going to stop now because I could go on this for hours, right? But here's the irony. Here's the irony. We live our entire lives trying to preserve this and find safety and security, but there's only one thing for certain in this life. And we know what that is? You're going to leave your body. That is the one thing for certain. And sure, we say that we're all going to die. Well, let me connect some dots for you, right? And I'm not trying to create anxiety for you because it's something to come afterwards, right? We're all going to leave our bodies. And that what I'm about to say might sound reassuring to you, or it might not. But there will be a day when no one remembers our name. And no one will remember things we've done. And no one will remember our accomplishments. That's reality. But you see how we interact with one another and how we impact each other on a level of emotion and consciousness that never dies. Whatever civilization there is in 400 years, we live in that. If it lasts that long, so eyes go up. If it lasts that long, we will live in that, what we have contributed towards humanity. But one day, nobody's going to know who we are or what we did. And this is something that I won't spend too long on. But when I was in a room, remember I told you I wasn't, one of the things that got me most is that I didn't get to say goodbye to people. I really thought I was going to die. I didn't think I was getting out of that room. And I realized that even fear is often said to be opposite of love, but fear is driven by love. If you really excavate your fears, so I invite you to do this, really go and excavate all your fears. You know what you'll uncover? Either you're afraid that you won't be able to love someone, or you're afraid that you won't be loved by someone. Either you won't be able to love or you won't be lovable. That's what lives at the bottom of fear. Have a look at that. And this is really interesting, right? Now, I put this with medicine, just kind of like as a reminder, because I know I'm not a doctor, of course, and I would not pretend to be. And I know some of us may know people or maybe have been treated with medication for anxiety. And sometimes it is necessary. Sometimes you need medication to create this stability, so you can actually go and do your work to investigate what's going on. But medication is not the answer. We still have to go and do your work to investigate what's going on, would be my suggestion, right? But in my last 2 days of panicked exploration of anxiety, here's what I discovered that was so interesting. One of the main things that have been proven to help us overcome anxiety is discovering meaning beyond our own identity. Discovering ways in which we could be of service to others, rather than just focus our lives on my survival, my kids, my family, my bank account, my whatever. To find little glimmers within our life where we can consistently be of service and contribute to something beyond the identity of I. And that has been proven to help people overcome anxiety. And I found that so interesting. Just food for thought. So life is unknown, right? Life is completely unknown. There's only one thing we know for sure that is going to happen. So here are a few things to consider in how you navigate the unknown. Why of the human experience? This is in yellow because to me it's important. But I don't think we take enough time to really acknowledge, well, what is this human experience about? Now, these are just perspectives for you to consider. It doesn't connect to you, great. But I spend a lot of time in nature. I live in nature, some of you might know. And even before that, but more so now, there's absolutely no doubt in my mind that there's some intelligence behind this human experience. You can call it whatever you want, but there is something. This experience is not an accident. It is not some spiritual Disney world. Let's come and have fun. There's something going on here. And on some level, it revolves around our growth and transformation on some level. And I don't know if you've noticed, but if you live in a comfort zone constantly, you limit your growth and transformation, by the way. I grew up, thank God to my mom and dad who are sitting on here. I grew up, I said this to someone recently, to Kern. I grew up knowing safety my entire life. That's one of the biggest privileges there are. Safety, security, whether it be financially or emotional. I have known that my entire life. See that darkroom experience? From beginning to end, from construction to losing my bag to almost missing my flight and on to turn on the lights and seeing cockroaches in the room. All of it. At no point did I feel safe. That experience was specifically crafted for me to know what that feels like. But I want us on this note to understand that real growth and transformation happens in the unknown, in the uncomfortable, not the comfortable. And the unknown and the uncomfortable is okay, but we have to have a relationship to it. Don't just avoid it, because you're going to limit everything you could become. Navigate the unknown with faith. Now, faith is not, and I hope no one takes offense to this, faith does not belong to religion. And faith has nothing to do with God exactly. Here's why. Because faith had to come first. To believe in a divine intelligence of any kind, or to believe in any God whatsoever, to know that God, you have to know that you are part of a large intelligence, that there is something that has your back. That's what faith is. So for those of us that may not connect to religion or even God, you can still have faith. You can still have that understanding, right? Whoop, wrong button. We often confuse or interchange faith and hope, right? Hope is a beautiful thing. I am not here to bash hope. But hope is the absence of faith. Because in hope, there's uncertainty. There is doubt. There is space for things not to go your way. You can hope something happens, but in a lot of ways, it's the absence of faith. Now, faith is not that you're psychic and you know what's going to happen. That's not what faith is, right? Here's what faith does. Faith says that I hope this happens, but if it doesn't, I know I'm going to be better for it on the other end. So faith says, regardless of what I have to experience, regardless of how uncomfortable this is, I know that it's bringing me growth and transformation, and there is some intelligence that has my back. Hope can't do that. Hope can point you to a dream. Hope can't get you there. Faith can. And there is an intelligence that dreams far greater than we do. So I'm going to say that again. We might know, we might have hopes and dreams for our lives, but there is an intelligence that dreams far greater than we do. And sometimes when we feel that life is coming down hard on us, it's just trying to point us to a bigger dream, trying to direct us in another direction. So pay attention. Faith is an absolute trust in something bigger. That's what faith is. Whatever you want to call that, it's knowing that there is an intelligence that has crafted this human experience and has your back, even if at times it might not feel that way. So navigating anxiety, we'll get into breathing shortly, promise. I think this might be the last slide here. Honesty and authenticity is fundamental, because when you ask yourself questions, you have to be sure that you're being honest with yourself. Because a lot of the time you're not. Why are you afraid of something? What is really happening below the surface? Stop telling yourself what you think you're supposed to tell yourself and actually feel what's really happening. And authenticity in the sense that I put yourself and others, because we live in a world where we're told, in a lot of ways, we're told who we need to be and what we need to be and what that should look like, what that should look like. And we try to fit ourselves into a box. And when you fit yourself into a box and that's not authentically how you feel, guess what that creates in your body? Stress. Because you're lying to yourself. You're pretending to be someone that isn't authentic to you. Creates stress in your body. Know your boundaries and don't be afraid to draw boundaries and say no. Gabor Mate, again, he talks about the power of no, because we live in a world where we want to please everybody and we want to say yes, 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 yes to everyone. But when you say yes all the time, it diminishes the power of your yes. Sometimes you need to draw boundaries and say, no, this is what I need. So I love you, but I can't do that right now. I need to do this so that I can feel safe. We have to be okay saying no and drawing boundaries. Get rest and safety, right? Do things every now and again that make you feel safe, that nourish you, right? And I want to put a point here, because this is the culture we live in. Dismissal and avoidance is not safety. That's dismissal and avoidance. And sometimes when we feel discomfort, we feel anxiety, we want to go straight to things that make us forget. Imagine if you had a partner that forgot about you. When you finally walk back in your room, they're going to be pretty upset. So I'm not saying don't do certain things, but only you can say what is dismissal and avoidance, and if you're trying to avoid something or run away from something. That's not the same thing as getting rest and safety. Nature carries a resonance that can actually change you. I grew up in the city. I've been living in nature now for 8 years, and I can tell you that nature on a molecular level can change who you are. Spend time in nature. Try to leave these speakers at home. You know, we love to go to the beach and please leave all that stuff at home. Just go and be with nature. It can do wonders. And fall in love with your mind. That's the last thing I have to say with regards to this. Fall in love with your mind. You are in an eternal marriage. Don't avoid it. Understand it. It is the home of all your fear, stress, and anxiety. If we don't create a safe space and have the courage to go towards the mind, we'll always be a puppet. We'll always be a puppet. The mind is controlling us like an emotional puppet. Mind is king of everything, right? That's only half the teaching, though. Because breath is king of the mind. That's BKS Iyengar. There are many things you can do to help you cope with anxiety and navigate anxiety. Breath is the absolute number one thing that can speak the language of the mind. The breath has your mind on a leash, like when you train a dog. The breath has your mind on a leash. So let's talk about breath. How important is breathing anyway, right? We come out of the womb and all of a sudden we could breathe. Is that how it happened, Mom? Yeah? You come out of the womb and you could breathe all of a sudden. But to breathe consciously and be in relationship to breath is very different, right? The way you breathe and the relationship you have to breath, to your breath, impacts your life in every way, not even a little bit of a way. So imagine this, right? We focus on what we eat. We focus on exercise. We focus on sleep. We focus on all these things. You breathe 23,000 times a day. And you can't live more than 4 minutes without breathing. So what do you think has more impact? What do you think has the most impact of anything in how we live our lives? How are you breathing is a question. I don't know if you have doctors in the room. I know we have some. A question a doctor should ask you the second you walk in the room. And I think maybe that's why they put that thing on you. What do you call it? Stethoscope? Yeah, anyway. That should be the first thing we look at when something doesn't feel right, when we're not feeling well. How are you breathing? Absolute first thing. I learned to breathe at 27 years old. And I know a lot of you may have walked in this room thinking, yeah, I've been breathing for a few decades, maybe 10, lil. I could breathe. When I learned to breathe, I was absolutely dumbfounded. I couldn't understand why I had not been taught that as a child. As an athlete, why no one actually taught me how breath worked. So how does your breath work? When we inhale, we pull air into our bodies, right? Give me a nod. No, some of you know that already. That's not how breath works. I thought that's how breath works. That was a trick question that I have to stop using because I have no chance now. That's not actually how breath works at all, right? Pulling air into your body is like this. Right? That's not how breath works. So consider that we create space to receive breath. We create space. Now, by the way, I want to put a pin here. This is not yoga mumbo jumbo. This is not Troy's perspective on life. This is the medical anatomy of breath. Go and Google it. We create space to receive breath. And before we get to how that happens, I want you to understand a few essential concepts of breathing, right? How much of you have heard breathe into your belly, breathe into your belly, breathe into your belly? Ever heard that? Yeah. You can't. You cannot breathe into your belly. It is impossible. Your abdominal cavity is closed. It is sealed. You cannot get air into it. The only reason it expands and bulges is because it's like a water balloon. And the diaphragm, which is the main muscle of breathing, it descends onto a water balloon. So your belly begins to bulge. But you can't actually breathe into your belly. That's important for us to understand. Your diaphragm is descending. It's like an umbrella-shaped muscle under your ribcage. If any doctors are in any room and you want to chime in, please do, right? It's a umbrella-shaped muscle at the bottom of your ribcage. When you inhale, it descends into your abdomen. That's why your abdominal cavity bulges. You can't breathe into it. Volume and air pressure are inversely related. I know this is physics. Some of you have instant resistance. But let's put it this way. Look at where I'm drawing the box. I'm giving you clues. If I had a box, and inside this box had an air pressure, and I expand the volume of this box, the air pressure inside of me does what? Mom? Go down. She's heard this before. Yeah, it goes down, right? So it's Boyle's law. Volume and air pressure are inversely related. Think of it this way. We have 1,000 people standing in this room. We're all like this, right? One of those parties we go to. We're all like this. And then you double the size of the room. Well, you have more space to move, right? If you make your room half your size, more pressure. So volume and air pressure are inversely related. Increased volume, pressure decreases, right? Here's more physics for you. Also Boyle's law. Gases move from high pressure to low pressure. That's just the way it works, right? Gases move from high pressure to low pressure. So here's what's happening as you breathe. This is what happens on your inhale, or what is supposed to happen. My diaphragm descends, my sternum lifts, my rib cage expands left to right. My back body expands. There are 4 dimensions in which I can expand my thoracic cavity. The more I can expand my thoracic cavity, the more air inside of me does what? Decreases. When the air inside of me decreases, that now means that the air outside of me is higher pressure than the air inside of me. So that air moves inside of me to create balance, to create equilibrium. Does this make sense to you? On the exhale, the opposite happens. I contract my rib cage, my diaphragm ascends, my sternum descends, my body gets smaller, the air pressure increases, so then the air moves outside of me to create balance. We don't pull air into our bodies. We create space to be breathed by an external force. Imagine that. Prove that wrong. And the same force breathing me is the same force breathing you, whatever that force is. Now, here's a little, I was going to make one of these because I thought it would be fun, but I just didn't get around to it. So check it out. This is, she's going to explain. Hold on. Hey, let's see if this works now. They're not working. All right, I'm going to talk you through it, guys. How we got there already? Oh, wait. Here, check it out. So in this diagram, this bottle is the thoracic cavity. Up here is your rib cage. These balloons are lungs. And down here is the diaphragm. That little pink thing is the diaphragm. Look at what happens. There's a straw going up. That's the trachea to the nostril, right? That's how air goes in and out of the bottle, which is the rib cage. Look at what happens when she pulls the diaphragm up and down. I know you can't hear, but look at what she's about to do. Or you'll want me to play with the audio for you. Okay, so this is the rib cage. This is the diaphragm. She's now going to pull down on the diaphragm. Look at how the balloons fill up with air. See that? Open, close, open, close, open, close. There's no mechanism in there to pull air into the body. It's simply a change of pressure and volume. Now, she's just moving the diaphragm. And our diaphragm moves far more than that. So imagine how much volume we are creating just for the movement of the diaphragm. Far less adding the rib cage and the chest and the back body. Does this make sense? Good. Factors impacting shape change, right? There are a few things, so get this. The more you can change the shape of your body, is the more you can breathe. So we're about to do a few breathing practices. Don't just breathe up and down. We'll follow that now. Stress, anxiety, and worry puts the body into a state of fight or flight. It gets your body tight. It makes you start breathing deep and fast and shallow, which then increases your anxiety. But when your body goes into that state of stress and gets small, it's even harder for you to breathe. One-dimensional breathing limits your ability to breathe, limits how much space you can create. For best, if I ask someone where you breathe, I might get belly and chest. Most people, I'll get belly or chest. Seldom will someone ever say diaphragm, chest, sternum, rib cage, back body. Though that's where breath should be. It's not one dimension up and down. It's front to back, sideways, up, down. It's like a cylinder. So we need to try to expand, feel the body expanding in every possible way. Physical tightness, right? People come all the time and say, I want to do yoga because my muscles are tight and again injured and I can't touch my toes. You're also emotionally reactive because you're not breathing properly and you might not know it. All the muscles of the body are connected. Can I hear? Thank you, Damo. Hopefully you didn't lose me too much. All the muscles of the body are connected, all of them. You're in a bodysuit of connective tissue and fascia. If any of the muscles are tight, it pulls on all the other muscles. So I won't bring up a volunteer for this, usually I do. But when you have tight muscles, imagine somebody who's sitting on your feet, holding your rib cage down and telling you to breathe. Looks like this. And when you're breathing like that, it creates more anxiety and more stress because you're in a fight and flight response, right? Your inability to relax. Again, if your body is tight and you can't relax, it means you're not breathing properly. You can't create space to breathe. Now, you might be thinking, all right, well, I'm here to talk about anxiety, but you tell me anxiety and inability to relax inhibits my breathing, right? You shouldn't wait until you get an anxiety attack to start breathing. It should be a regular practice. And if it becomes a regular practice, you'll probably find that you start getting less anxiety attacks and feel less stressed, and you live your lives a lot more relaxed. But you can't wait for that attack to come on. So then you decide, oh, I remember what Troy told me. I'm going to try that now. No, it's about creating a relationship with the breath. Just like your body has muscle memory, your breath has memory. So it's not that we walk around all day breathing 6 to 10 second breaths with the rib cage out here. No, but when we practice deepening and lengthening the breath now knows it can go there. So when life hits us in the face and we fall flat in the mud, our breath automatically knows, yo, don't react, don't overreact. And the breath comes in. We don't even have to think about it. The breath comes in, and then we can choose how to consciously respond to life rather than react to life. A relationship to your breath will increase or put you into parasympathetic state, which is rest response, right? Rather than fight and flight. It lowers your heart rate. And I often tell a story. I was wearing a watch once that measures your heart rate. And I was doing a yoga practice, my own yoga practice, 2 hours, pretty intense. And I noticed that I could drop my heart rate 50 points in 4 breaths. 50 points in 4 breaths. There's absolutely nothing special about me being able to do that, other than the fact that I have worked with my breath for the last 15 years. Increase physical health. It's like a car. Your breath is the fuel to your car. If you're don't have good fuel, nothing's going to operate the way it should, right? Everything begins to operate better when you start breathing better. And it keeps you in the present moment. So I know this might apply to people. You see how anxiety loves to take you into the past and the future about what might possibly happen, and you start to snowball into everything that could possibly go wrong, like there being a war or your grandmother dying while you're just sitting on a cushion. In mind, that's future. We start to anticipate the future, and we love drama. And then when our present experience is uncomfortable, we start to compare it to the past. And why can't today be like yesterday? Your breath is what keeps you in the moment. If you just connect to one breath and you follow one breath, guess what your mind has to do? Your mind has to be present. If you feel that happening on your mind, just stop. Take a few breaths and follow your breath. It's going to bring you right back to the present moment. It's going to stop that snowballing effect. And it gives you the ability to consciously respond to life. It's what the breath does. There's a philosopher, Viktor Frankl. He says that discovering freedom is discovering that moment in between stimulus and response. When someone slaps you or life does something to you, we want to automatically respond. That's react. That's an emotional reaction when we're driven by emotion, right? Sometimes it's verbal. Somebody does or says something you don't like, you give it to them, right? And then after you realize, oh, I shouldn't have done that. That's because you were emotionally reactive. Being in the breath gives us that moment back. It gives us our freedom back, where in that split second, we can choose how to consciously respond rather than being emotionally reactive. Gives you back your freedom. All right, let's go. You ready? I know we've been waiting for this. You'll want to stand up or not. Let's sit. Place both feet on the floor. I hope my volume works now because the music for this is really cool. All right, so what we're about to do, huh? No. You all can hear me, okay? Yeah? Good, super. The speaker's there. It's just for some reason not connecting. Let's try that. See if that works. So what we're about to do is a breathing practice. These videos will be on YouTube soon enough, right? We have to tweak one or two of them. What we're going to do in this video is just 3-second inhale, 2-second pause, 3-second exhale, 2-second pause, over and over and over. Follow a dot. You'll see something come up on the screen. And if at any point your breath feels strained or you feel like 3 seconds is too long, just surrender your breath. Just let it go and join us when you feel comfortable, right? Don't in any moment feel strained or stressed. And I would love for you to try and breathe through your nose, not through your mouth, if you can, right? Sit up nice and tall. Try and feel the breath come up. Feel the rib cage and your chest, right? So get this. If I sit like this, what do you think that does? Can I create space in my body? I'm compressing my body already. The taller you can sit up, is the more you can breathe. Breathing, get this, for some of you might like this. Breathing better actually makes you taller. I used to be 5'7", now I'm 6'2". Okay, ready? Inhale for 3 seconds, pause for 2, exhale for 3, pause for 2. Then we repeat. Pause, exhale, pause. Inhale, exhale. Just follow his dot. And now just release your breath for me. Release control of your breath, but just be still. Allow your breath to return to you. And gently open your eyes for a moment. So I want to give you guys, that's pretty simple, right? We could take that home, we could do it. It's not hard to do. I want to give you guys a few practices, which is why I don't want to spend too much time on any one practice, right? The one we're about to do now is called Viloma. It is probably my absolute favorite breathing practice of all. And what we're going to do is this, right? This is the countdown. What we're going to do is this. We're going to split the inhale into 3 parts. So we're going to inhale into our diaphragm, belly, pause. We're going to then inhale into your rib cage and pause. We're going to then inhale into your chest, even your back body, and pause. Then we're going to take one long exhale from the top down, all the way out your body. Then when you come to the bottom of your exhale, I want you to compress everything. So look at how you exhale looks. Belly to spine, no more air in my body. Then at the bottom of your exhale, we're going to hold 2 seconds. Then you're going to release. Now, when you release, you're not pulling air back into you. You're just releasing. Then we're going to allow it to settle, and we're going to go again, probably about 4 times. Yeah? If you don't get it first time around, you get it second time around, right? So I'm going to sit there because I need to pause this video from time to time. So you can let this round pass if you like. I know it caught us off guard, right? Come to the bottom of your exhale and pause. No music this time around. Inhale diaphragm. Pause. Follow a dot. Inhale rib cage. Pause. Inhale chest. Pause. Exhale all the way out. Exhale, exhale, exhale. Pause and hold. And release. Now try and keep it through nose, slow and steady, right? Come to the bottom of your exhale. Look at the dot. We're going to go again. Inhale belly. Inhale rib cage. Inhale chest. Exhale all the way out. Pause. Try to keep your exhale steady, right? So it's not explosive, smooth and steady. Release. Allow your breath to come back. Come to the bottom of your exhale and pause. And begin. Inhale belly. Pause. Inhale rib cage. Pause. Inhale chest. Pause. Exhale all the way out. Hold. And release the breath. Allow the air to come back in. Come to the bottom of your exhale and pause. Get ready to begin. Inhale abdomen, pause. Inhale rib cage, pause. Inhale chest, pause. Exhale all the way out. Hold. Release your breath. Note how breath just comes back into you once you allow space for it, right? Come to the bottom of your exhale and pause. We'll go for one more round. Inhale, belly, pause. Inhale rib cage, pause. Inhale chest, pause. Exhale all the air out. Hold and release your breath. Allow your breath back in. Gently open your eyes. So what I didn't want, when you do this practice, right, you can extend the inhale. I didn't want to extend it too long because what you don't want is people straining their breath, right? You don't want to feel like you're fighting with your breath. This is the last practice I'm going to give you, or we're going to do together. I mean, that's our 3 rounds. Most of us know it already. You're going to breathe in and out through alternate nostrils. It's called alternate nostril breathing, right? But you're going to use your thumb and your ring finger, or I've seen people use the pinky finger. Can't really see your head too good, but using your thumb to close one nostril, and then you use your ring finger or your pinky finger to close the other nostril. So use your hands like this to open and close nostrils. Make sense? Yeah? Cool. So sit up nice and tall. I'll talk you through it. We're going to inhale through your left side, exhale out your right side. Not yet. Then we're going to inhale through your right and exhale out your left, right? This is Hillary Clinton does this, apparently. That's what I discovered in my research. So sit up nice and tall. Bring your hand up. We're going to start with a normal breath. No video for this one, right? Just me. Come to the bottom of your exhale and pause. So release your hand for a moment if you like. Take a normal inhale. Normal exhale. Normal inhale. Bring your hand up. Close your right nostril. Exhale out your left. Inhale through your left. Close your left. Exhale out your right. Inhale through your right. Close your right. Exhale out your left. Inhale through your left. Close your left. Exhale out your right. Inhale through your right. Close your right. Exhale out your left. Inhale through your left. Close your left. Exhale out your right. Inhale through your right. Close your right. Exhale out your left. I want you to do 2 more cycles on your own. And then when you end, you'll end with an exhale out of your left nostril. And just release your hand for me so I know you're out. So those are 3 practices I would highly advise that you make part of your day, because they will, we have this thing where we always want a quick fix. You always want a quick fix. This is work, guys. Your body's not a quick fix. Nothing about changing your life or tackling anxiety or stress or creating a relationship in mind is a quick fix. It doesn't work that way. It's a practice, right? So this is the last slide. Then we'll have a quick Q&A. This is just for your consideration. This is something that greatly impacted my life and connected a lot of dots. Can you hear me in the back? Yeah? Sorry, I just caught myself. Connected a lot of dots for me, right? One thing that really shifted my yoga practice and my life is understanding how breath worked. And then understanding the power of slow, long breathing. Even in my yoga practice, it began to shift things in my life. What I didn't expect is how much closer it made me feel to God. and my understanding of God. And I couldn't understand why. And again, I'm not here to tell anyone what God is or what God looks like. I believe there is something. And I never allowed anyone to tell me what that was for me. And I'll never try to do that for you. But consider this. The word spirit comes from the Latin word spiritus. And the Latin word spiritus means to breathe. Funny enough, look at that. So spirit, there is divine intelligence in our breath. This is what I know to be true. It is there for your consideration. I have chosen to believe that God, whatever God is, makes love to us 23,000 times a day. And most of the time, we're not even paying attention. The breath has so much. Consider as well that it's the one thing that connects everyone in this room. Connects every living human being, inanimate and animate objects. The air we breathe connects all of us, more than DNA, more than ancestry, more than opinion, more than where you live, more than your name, more than anything. That's why pandemic was a pandemic. This is us, right? This is my handles, Beyond Yoga's handles. Follow us. I do have a book coming out if you want to stay tuned. It's there. Most of you might follow us already. But if we can facilitate your journey in any way or help, we're here, right? I mean, we're new to this space. We have a cafe come in. We have a retail space come in. And all the pieces are coming together. But if you want to come into this space and just give somebody a hug or sit on a couch, do it. We love to hug people. If you want to start a meditation yoga practice, we're here, right? We're trying to make this as accessible as possible. That's my last slide. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you guys for coming, because after Monday, we had 4 people. I was like, yeah, let's bring it. And it's really beautiful to see people come out, because anxiety, whether you realize it or not, it still has a negative connotation in our society. And it's not. Everyone experiences it. Most people just don't realize it, right? Now, I think we do have about 10 minutes, so I would love to open up for Q&A if anyone has any questions at all. For me, anything is on the table. Yeah. Yeah. They, you know, we've been told in certain circumstances, breathe out the mouth. Iyengar used to say, nose is for breathing, mouth is for eating. And there's actually an amazing book now called Breath. Andrew sent it to me this morning, which I read probably 2 years ago. But it puts science to everything we are teaching. And everything I've just told you about breath, it puts science to it. What they did is they plugged their nose for 2 weeks and put themselves on monitors to monitor what their body was doing. Stuff went whack. And they started to recognize the power between nose breathing over mouth breathing. Now, there are people I know who can't breathe out their nose due to whatever condition, and that's understandable. For the rest of us, we should be breathing out our nose. They even did an experiment with Olympians, because they were trained to breathe, inhale through their nose, exhale out their mouth. And when they changed that to be strictly out the nose, their performance level increased. It's hard. You have to retrain. You have to retrain. Sorry, yeah? Yeah. 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 We would love to. I would love nothing more. But one of our issues is that, one, I can't teach every class, right? And we would love to put meditation on a schedule. but we also have a business to run. And in the past, we put meditation and it hasn't really quite got a response. So we had to pull it. Now, what would be really nice is if we got a corporate sponsor to come on board and say, yo, I want to sponsor a corporate class. And that's what we're hoping for. And that's why we're trying to run this program so we could get more people on board to make yoga and meditation more accessible, meaning rather than 2 classes a day, we could have 6 classes a day. And we could have meditation and breathing and everything, and then drive the attendance to it. So my answer to that is yes, soon to come. Yeah.
I just want to say those breathing videos have got to be the best thing I've ever seen, because I never practiced breathing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the question is, can you combine 2? Like say, inhale, exhale, what is it? Is it something that you could do?
I initially would say, when you say one after the other, my response is this, and a lot of people would not agree with this, right? I believe in personal practice. I believe in seeing how it feels to you, because much like the yoga practitioners 100, 200 years ago discovered these techniques and what they did in their body, we could too. So I would say, play with it and see. You know, there are so many different breathing techniques. Some of them do interlock into one another, but pay attention to how it makes you feel. I would say you would only do that after you've created a regular breathing practice.
Final question. So, one is that are you going to be putting another on YouTube or something?
Yeah, there's the reason I muted the second video is because I got it from Video Man today, and we have some tweaking to do. As soon as those videos are ready, they're going up on YouTube. Yes.
And how often is it that you should do that 24/7? That's what you
Every day.
Is that what we should be aiming?
No, you can't walk around every day. I mean, eventually you can. If I were to put my rate of breathing next to someone else, I would probably breathe 1 breath any time they breathe 6, right? But that's because I have a regular practice. So I don't walk around breathing, right? Which a lot of us do. So I would say do it every day, and in time, your regular breathing on a daily basis will begin to change. So will your stress and anxiety. Yeah. Anything else, guys? Megs? Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. She's a nutritionist, guys. Listen to her. She knows what she's talking about. One problem I have is I eat way too fast, but work in progress. Yeah. Anything else, guys, that you all want to shoot? I don't want to keep you guys too late.
What does your lungs have to do with it?
Well, your lungs are like balloons, right? Because your whole life you've been told you breathe with your lungs. So your lungs are balloons that receive the breath. But the lungs don't have a mechanism to pull air into your body. So if you hold a balloon up, like they did in the diagram, the lungs can't draw air into your body. The lungs are a balloon that receive the air. But when we change the shape of our body and we decrease the air pressure, that's when the air then moves into the lungs. Yeah, makes sense? Con's correct, right? She's the only person I know in the room definitely has a medical education, so I call out. Yeah. Yeah, guys, anything else you all want to shoot? Okay, I'm going to cut you all free. I'm here if you all have personal questions. All of you guys, I know some of you guys already practice yoga here. All of you either get, well, you get 10% downstairs in Homeland, but I think it's only good for 48 hours, right, Dom? 48 hours, which means So maybe we give them till Sunday, right? And you also get, we are, okay, they'll forgive you. But you also get, guys, two more things. If you do want to start a yoga practice with us, we have an intro special, which is $250 for a month unlimited. If you've never been here before, you get that for $200. And if you already have been here and you do practice here, you get a free class that you could give to somebody else or use yourself. Cool? So let us know what you want. If you let I know, we'll get it to you. Love, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I need you to stand up there.